Fortnite Zero Build was released 1 year ago today, but how has this impacted the game in the last 365 days? In the beginning, there was a ton of creators that returned to the game. I'm thinking Ninja and Tfue. At the time, generally casual players and competitive players were all relatively happy with the change. The casuals got to play an easy, relaxing game mode where they didn't have to worry about the sweats ruining it. And since there was both build modes and zero build, the competitive players could easily choose what they wanted. However, this did create a bit of a divide in the community. I mean, there always was one, but it's worse now. Now, one of the best examples of this is if you just look on the Fortnite BR subreddit. I found a post here. It's just titled, "I'm understanding how to use the katana effectively." Now, this is not anything crazy. I think if you're watching the clip, most people will watch this and understand that this guy's just understanding how to katana to height, how to use it in build and box fights. It's fairly simple. You know, the comments, this is why I exclusively play no build, that aside, cool clip, to which a reply is, skill issues. So of course, really any time where you're seeing clips of building, naturally you're going to have some of the zero build community come in and say that they don't enjoy that at all. And it goes the other way too. I made a post on my community tab about the tournaments that have been announced over the next year for Zero Build, and the response from the competitive community was no different. And this isn't necessarily something new. There's always been a collide between the casuals and the competitive side, you know, the sweats, from basically the start of the game. However, now with Zero Build, it's just a little bit more pronounced and very obvious within the community. And I don't blame anyone for this. This is pretty much the way every competitive and casual game has always been. I think back to Halo, and it's very much so. The casuals want the game to be one way, and the competitive want the game to be another way. However, both being in the game is great for everyone as long as they're managed effectively. You see, Fortnite is definitely becoming more of a metaverse where you can choose whatever you want to do. With the release of, UEFN, is that what it's called? Creative 2.0 coming up, there'll be a whole host of different game modes available, with the first person mode that seems to be leaked. Now with no building or with building, it seems like Fortnite really is going to be more of a hub for different types of games as long as it's able to be created within the Creative 2.0. And for the future, it makes sense to have a bunch of different options for whatever game mode you want to create. And it's interesting because the build mode, the core mode that most people fell in love with the game from, is a bit of a paradox. Fortnite is a casual game, yet the barrier to entry is extremely high because it is hard to learn how to build and to be incredibly mechanical. Naturally, this just makes it difficult for new players to get into the game. So most people fell in love with the game because of its building elements, but it's ironic that that's actually what hinders a lot of new people from also getting into the game. Now, unfortunately, one of the major side effects of zero build tournaments is that it is much easier for hackers to get into the tournaments. In building mode, there's still a skill element to a point. If you've watched my short that I put up a couple weeks ago, was it last week? A couple days ago, wherever it was, some time frame ago, you'll see that, you know, there are skill issues included even with hackers. They can die to normal people as well. However, in Zero Build, where none of the players can build to hide from themselves, they really are just in the open all of the time, hackers have run prevalent. The biggest problem is also that there's a lower entry, so they don't have to get to, say, Champions League in Arena like you would to play FNCS. You just are able to get into those tournaments if you're, I think, over level 50. Could be wrong on that. We'll double check. And this has led to so many zero build tournaments being just ruined by hackers. And it's a shame because zero build tournaments previously to this, before this started to become a problem near the end of the last chapter, were very well received by the casuals and also by the competitive community. But the casuals, it's an easy way to get into competitive as a whole. It's a good gateway drug to get yourself in there if you think about it. If you can't build, it's very firstly difficult to get to either like a higher level in Arena, be it Champions League, to get into FNCS, or even to get into Cash Cups. And once you get in there, you're getting dominated by high level players, so it's not very rewarding as a new player. And I believe that's the way it should be. It's skilled and it's difficult. However, with zero build tournaments, there's a lot lower barrier to entry for you to get in. So for casuals, just getting into competitive, having these tournaments available is really, really good. In particular, there's like field tournaments where you don't even need to have a team. You can just play with anyone that you want and get some experience and start to fall in love with just competitive as a whole. And this is also true for players who have been playing for a longer time but necessarily aren't that good. I'm also bad at zero build tournaments though, which is the problem. If you notice, it's very easy to play these tournaments from even just a content creator perspective. So it's very easy to stream them, even though, you know, sorry to say it, but some zero build tournaments are pretty boring to watch, but they're allowed to stream. They've got content. It's easy to be made. There's a whole competitive zero build community forming, which is awesome. So you think back to even celebrities playing back in pro-ams in the day, that was frustrating to watch and also just boring because you knew these players were so far behind and there was nothing they could do. Now, let's be real, playing up against the top level pros, you're not going to do well as it is as a celebrity or a content creator that's just average at the game. But at least in zero build, it's not as frustrating. You have somewhat of a chance if they get out in the open. Realistically, you look at the leaderboards, be it in more casual tournaments that have some pros in it or the highest level competitive tournaments, it's still mainly pros that are winning. Just build pros who use those skills to carry over into zero build. But it's still a good introduction for either celebrities, for events like Twitch Rivals, or just for casuals to get into competitive. And due to this, I hope that's kind of where Epic sees it in the long run. And this idea in my eyes is furthered by the fact that there's a large LAN third-party tournament circuit going on between Dreamhack and Gamers8. So there's basically been a $2 million zero build tournament later in July. I don't have the date written down. Where is it? July 6th till 9th, and it's $2 million total, as I said, for the prize pool, all zero build. Then there's 3 qualifiers for that, which are Dreamhacks. I'm going to stop reading out all the dates. You can see them on screen. And this again kind of substantiates in my eyes the fact that zero build can hopefully be for the third parties, for the other people away from Epic, and it can be the side tournaments, and that can leave Epic Games to focus specifically on build mode, and then having that introduction to competitive being in the zero build, which I personally believe is healthy in the long run. But let me know what you think. Also, like and subscribe. Peace.